President Trump slamming the accuracy of a new ABC Washington Post poll Friday. It found nearly two-thirds of Americans back Mueller's Russia investigation and believe the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, should keep his job. For more insight on what these results mean and what's next to come in that Russia probe, let's bring in former prosecutor and criminal defense attorney Robert Bianchi. Robert, thanks for being here. The latest, Don McGahn, the White House counsel, out. Some GOP lawmakers are worried that now President Trump's Office of White House Counsel is getting too thinned out. They're worried this leaves him vulnerable after the midterms if the Democrats retake the House. What do you say? Is it okay to have, I think it's one more deputy counsel now left over at the White House?
You know, Jillian, I led a prosecutorial agency for 6 years, and one of the hallmarks, and I believe the right one, is to try to get the most talented people, even if they disagree with your opinion, in order to have institutional knowledge and to give you proper advice. So with the removal of McGahn, you are weakening the ability to be able to give the proper advice that ultimately the president is going to accept or not accept. So you want to get more talent. You want him to get more voices in the room. He is in a bare bones scenario, and he is going to be in for a fight for his life because these storm clouds are looming all over the place with respect to this investigation, and a sobering and steady voice is going to be very, very important.
So, Robert, it sounds like you're saying it's not just the numbers, how many lawyers are around the president. It's what their point of views are, what their perspective on the law at hand is. He wants a range of advice. He doesn't want a bunch of yes men. Is that right?
Well, listen, I do criminal defense too, but I'm more of a prosecutor-minded person. And when I was in the room as a prosecutor, I ultimately made the call. But I wanted to hear from people that I trusted, that I respected. And many times we had vociferous arguments and disagreements with the manner in which an investigation or a prosecution should take place. Ultimately, they all knew when they stepped out of the room, when I made a decision, it was final. But I took their advice and counsel very seriously. Sometimes people want yes men. They want confirmation bias. They want people to agree with what their personal viewpoint is, and that can be very dangerous. For example, it would be wise for the president, and just out of all due respect, to stop continuing to tweet the things he is, because it's building a more and more nefarious scenario for him, potential obstruction issues all over the place, and I'm sure his lawyers are telling him to keep quiet. Hey, that's his decision after he gets competent advice, but you don't want those lawyers who disagree with that approach just to be removed because they don't agree with how you decide to go about things.
Sure. I think the American people probably want the president to get what he needs, not necessarily what he wants at any given moment in time. Not just President Trump, any American president. Here's the president on Thursday at a rally. He starts talking about the threats to get involved if things don't go the way he wants them to go. Take a listen. I want to get your reaction.
People are angry. What's happening is a disgrace. And at some point, I wanted to stay out, but at some point, if it doesn't straighten out properly, I want them to do their job. I will get involved, and I'll get in there if I have to.
So should he stay out of the fray, or do you think he should jump in?
Absolutely should stay out of the fray. You know, something, Jillian, that I find odd is when I was appointed by the governor with the advice and consent of the Senate, when I was black boxed at that point in time. In other words, I had a term that could not remove me from office for anything short of impeachment or cause. With the system we have right now, the attorney generals are under the backbone of a president, and if a president himself is being investigated and doesn't like it, he can attempt to try to remove him. I did a little quick list, Jillian, for your audience, because I think it's important. Remember that during the court campaign, we had the Trump speech encouraging Russians to hack the emails. We had the constant adulation of Putin. We had the RNC Ukraine platform as the only thing changed. We have Papadopoulos, we now know. Australian officials are telling us, hey, he's trying to reach out with respect to compromising information on Clinton. We had the Trump Tower meeting. Then after the election, what do we have? We have the Comey firing, the Lester Holt interview, the White House meeting with Kislyak where he said he was fired because of the Russian investigation, attacks on Sessions, attacks on Rosenstein, attacks on Mueller, attacks on Wray, many of whom he appointed, pressuring Congress, calling for a Hillary Clinton investigation.
Robert, I want to stop you right there. I'm sorry. We've got a hard wrap coming up in a second. It sounds like you're saying the president has already put a toe in the water, so it's not so much anymore left to, if he's going to get involved, as whether he's going to actually insert himself into the process. Robert Bianchi, thanks so much for joining us.